The road to Winged Foot, powered by Cisco WebEx. We're excited to hang out with Viktor Hovland for a little bit and hear about some of his prep for this year's US Open at Winged Foot. Viktor, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So this week, your prep, you're getting ready the week before. What does it look like? What are you doing?
Well, I just came home from a 3-week stretch. So first of all, it's a matter of kind of resting up a little bit, just recharging the batteries. But it's obviously US Open week next week, and as we know, you have to drive the ball really straight, and ball striking is really essential out there. So just doing a couple of fine tuning around my ball striking, and hopefully we'll be ready come next week.
Do you have any favorite games or drills that you're working on right now? Help you dial some of that in.
It's so I was using on the range last week. Gosh, what is it called? Total Golf Trainer or something like that. It has like a red ball, and you can bend it in certain different ways to kind of help your wrist move a certain way. So just working on that a little bit, but it's mostly I like to spend time in front of just a mirror and just get a visual for it, and then try to implement the feel that way.
What are you working on right now? Something a backswing and the downswing?
It's very simple, kind of just backswing stuff. I've never been a fan of doing a lot of stuff kind of in the downswing, or doing stuff that happens later, because that's all the reaction to what you do earlier in the golf swing. So it's just managing, making sure that my club doesn't get stuck behind me, just kind of more in front of my hands going back, and then hopefully that'll take care of the stuff going after that.
So the question is, and I think every golfer have this, is where does my swing go from the range to the first tee, right? You're about to step onto a mildly pressure-filled first tee of the US Open. That's an understatement.
Yeah.
How do you get that swing to stay with you, or how do you make those swing changes stick? That's always so tough.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't really had that problem. If personally, if I'm hitting it like crap on the range, I'm probably gonna hit it like crap on the courts. That's just kind of just me personally. If I'm hitting it really good on the driving range, I'm probably gonna hit it pretty good on the golf course. Now that doesn't always mean that I'm gonna shoot a good or a bad score, because that matters. How you play with your dispersion. You could hit a good shot, but just pull it a little left of kind of where you were aiming, and you end up in deep trouble compared to if you miss it on the right side, you're going to have a lot easier shots. So there's a lot of things that play into that way. But for me personally, if I'm playing really good in practice, I'm probably going to be hitting it pretty good on the golf course as well.
How are you hitting it right now during practice? Where's the game at?
Honestly, last couple months have been a little tough for me, tee to green. But I've actually been putting the ball a lot better, and chipping's come along nicely. So the last few events, I've really hit it bad, but with kind of good short game and just scrambling the ball really well, I've been able to make the cut and kind of gain enough points to get into East Lake at least. Yeah, over in the weekend, it was kind of reversed a little bit. I hit more fairways and I hit more greens, but didn't make anything at all. And that's just kind of how the game of golf is. But definitely need to work on my long game a little bit, and hopefully, if I get that down, US Open is going to be fun.
Have you played Winged Foot before?
I had never, no, but I heard it's going to be a good test.
Do you have have you seen any data or seen any ideas on what kind of strategy are you going in pretty cold?
No, I'm going in blind, so you probably know more than me. So if you know something I don't, feel free to give me a little lesson.
Well, you've done well in USGA events. Obviously, you have the USAM win, and then last year you had an insane finish. As an amateur, is phenomenal at the US Open. Did you go in blind to Pebble? Had you been there before you won the USAM, or was that
So we had played a college event out there called the Carmel Cup. So I believe I had played that tournament twice, or maybe just once. I believe I played it twice. So I'd seen the golf course maybe 10 times before showing up at the USAM. But obviously the conditions are way different. Normally every day Pebble Beach kind of plays like a resort golf course. And then for the USGA events, they just completely change it. The greens are firm and fast, and rough is really thick, and fairways are even narrower. Now that's going to be a little different for Winged Foot because I've never seen the golf course before. But sometimes it doesn't help you all that much if you've seen the course in a way different condition, because then you're kind of used to playing the golf course in that way, and then it's just so different from that particular way you played it. So I don't think that necessarily is a bad thing. We have 2 practice rounds, or more than that, should you need it to kind of map out what you need to do.
Are you a golfer that enjoys trying to break par and being around par, or do you enjoy more of the shootouts where you're going to 20 under plus? Which is more in your cup of tea?
I think it's a good mix. I like to do both. I think it's very rewarding to play awesome golf and shoot one over or even par one under. I just think that's very rewarding. As a golfer, you know that, okay, I shot it under par today. That was no fluke. Sometimes you can play an easier course and you can shoot 5, 6, 7 under, and you know that you would have struggled at another place. You just kind of missed it on the right sides and got hot, but you just can't fake it. But it has to be a balance too. It can't just be silly hard where you're hitting good shots and it's just you're making bogey regardless. I thought Olympia Fields, which we played a couple of weeks ago, that was such an awesome test of golf. It was playing super difficult, but it was still fair. If you played well, you were shooting a good score.
So do you enjoy? You've performed well in majors. Do you enjoy that ramped up pressure a little bit more? Is that helpful? Are the first tee jitters a little more real during a major for you?
Yeah, now it is a little different now with no fans, but man, I remember walking up to the first tee at the Masters last year, and yeah, I mean you're in a little different mental situation. You're just basically just trying to hit the ball and not do anything too stupid. Just kind of get the show started. But then once you get going a little bit, it's easier to relax. But you for sure notice kind of the atmosphere is a little different when you step it up in a major.
What's worse for you? I don't know. Is it the first tee shot or the first putt where it's like you have your hands shake a little bit when you grip the putter?
That's a good question.
Which one is it for you?
It
I can't handle those putts, man. That first putt sucks.
It depends a little bit. You get on Augusta and you get like a nasty 7-footer downhill slider. I'd probably be a little bit more nervous over that putt than maybe the first tee shot. But it's just like, it makes a big difference. You piping a drive 300 yards down the middle on the first tee versus hooking it into the left trees. That's a big difference on where you want to start. Worst case at Augusta, you can 3-putt, but most of the time you're probably just going to 2-putt. So that's if you just get on the green at 2, you know that a par is not going to hurt you that much. So, but it goes both ways.
So let's talk strategy when you head out there and you're playing some practice rounds. What do you look for? Like, how do you choose what you're going to hit off tee boxes, choosing your targets and that stuff? Do you have a formula or any kind of strategy that you're using for that?
No, I'm sure a lot of other guys, they have kind of stats guys to tell them, okay, you probably need to hit it this far on this hole, and it's so and so wide at certain distances. But my strengths are usually off the tee. I don't hit it the longest, but I hit it fairly straight when I'm on. So for me, that makes sense to take advantage of that. Maybe some places where guys select to to hit irons or 3 woods off the tee, I feel like I need to use that strength and hit driver and gain some shots there. So I'm pretty aggressive. It doesn't really take me a whole lot of time to figure out what club I need to hit. I just pull driver and see how it goes. Then make some adjustments after that. But a lot of it is okay. Which side is better to miss on? Sometimes the angle is better from the left side of the rough or the right side of the rough. And then just around the greens, just get used to how firm the first bounce is, and just getting used to a couple of the slopes and seeing where they're probably going to put pins.
I mean, from a stats perspective, looking backwards, I love that perspective of let's hit driver and then see if we have to change it later or not. I think that's awesome. Does it change though the week, with the super long rough and, really tight off the tee? During a normal week, that seems, to make a ton of sense. But this week, does that change at all for you, or you just keep plowing ahead with that?
Yeah, the thing is, depends a little bit on the hole. If it's super narrow up there where you're going to hit a driver, it makes sense to stay a little further back and hit a 3-wood, just kind of at the fatter portion of the fairway. But the thing is, I feel like a lot of northern style golf courses, they're kind of the same width the whole way, just kind of tree line and then rough on both sides. And in that case, if you want to miss, it's better to be 30 yards further up in the rough than being 30 yards shorter and in the rough.
Yeah.
And personally, I almost hit my driver straighter than a 3-wood. So then it's like, it makes even more sense to just kind of hit it as hard as I can with the driver. If it's in the fairway, great, I can take advantage of it. And if it's in the rough, well, hopefully I got a short enough club where I can, still make a par.
I love that strategy. Makes a ton of sense. Let's talk targets maybe into holes, into greens. Are you someone that, kind of aims at the middle of the green and just tries to hit as many greens as possible? Or are you someone that takes on flags all the time?
Yeah, another kind of what we talked about, my strengths. Well, I'd say my weakness has been so far as I've been on tour is kind of around the greens. I haven't been able to scramble as much as I probably would have liked. So then in that case, maybe if Phil Mickelson, he can go for more pins because he knows that, well, if I miss the green, it's not the end of the world. That's almost still a birdie opportunity in some cases. Or for me, I kind of want to just play for the middle part of the green. Now, that doesn't mean I'm super conservative. I'm just placing my dispersion kind of where my pattern is, and then finding a point where, okay, if I miss it left of my dispersion pattern, it's still going to be on the green. And then if I push it, it might be closer to the pin. If for example, a pin is on the right side of the green, I'm aiming more left. If I pull it, still on the green. If I push it, it's going to be really good. So just trying to be smart. And that playing the US Open, you're not going to have to shoot 20 under par to win the tournament. You just really have to pick your battles. And when you're out of position, don't try to force anything. Just get out of there, make a bogey, and move on to the next hole.
Any kind of lessons you learned from, you played the US Open last year, obviously, and then playing so well in the USAM and whatnot. Any kind of lessons you've learned from playing tougher golf courses, or any keys that you try to change that changed compared to a normal week?
Yeah, I guess I hate the word, but I guess patience is a very good lesson to take with you. I'm super impatient, and I just want to, go out there and make every single putt and make birdies every single hole. But, you could 3-putt the first hole and make a bogey and miss the green on the second hole, and you're thinking, oh, it's going to be that kind of day, huh? But, as long as, because everyone's going to hit bad shots, if you make a bogey with your bad shots, you're bound to hit good shots. And a couple par 5s, you can sneak up there close to the green in 2, and you can, make up and down, make a birdie, and get momentum that way. So it's like, you don't have to you don't have to play that spectacular to shoot a good score, but you just can't lose your head. So I think if you just play within yourself, don't try to do anything you can't do. just play very simple golf. I think that's essentially the key to not winning the U.S. Open, but just playing good.
What is the self-talk that you want to hear from yourself? Like, what does that sound like after 2 or 3 bogeys when, like, it kind of doesn't go quite right on the front 9 or whatever it might be, right? Like, what do you hope that conversation is like with yourself when
Yeah,
because it might happen, right?
Yeah, I can already tell you it's probably going to be, man, you suck, but you try to at least after that initial kind of response, it's more of a, okay, well, we got a couple of shorter holes, or just try to build some momentum back and hit some good shots again. And fortunately, my memories is very short term. So if I start hitting it good again, those bogeys are not the end of the world. It's if you dwell on it and then just keep making more and more mistakes, that's what really kills you. So you just kind of, I mean, you still have to comment on the bad shots that you hit and the mistakes you made, but then quickly get over it and try to get back in there and fight.
Maybe a question I always love asking this is, what's your current swing thought, or what do you think your swing thought's going to be for the week? Any ideas on the feel that's working that might get you through the week?
Yeah, I don't really like to think too much when I'm playing. If I'm playing really well, I'm essentially, you try to not really make it as complicated as it could be. A lot of it is just kind of seeing shots, shaping shots. Sometimes, like, you can do both, which is awesome because then you can, pick the one that fits the hole best. But sometimes, like many times that I've experienced, because I usually hit a little left to right with my driver, and sometimes the holes just doesn't fit that. Instead of kind of trying to go crazy with it and really have to draw it, it's like, well, okay, I'm just going to try to squeeze this cut in certain places. So I think just for me, just kind of keeping it very simple, just playing within my abilities and try to do the best I can with that, instead of kind of, oh, well, I have to change this to play this hole, and then I have to change this to play that hole. I think that's kind of how you lose yourself a little bit.
Awesome. All right, so let's wrap with this. What are the keys for you? The U.S. Open. So you're working on your backswing a little bit right now, trying to get that dialed in.
Yeah.
Your short game has been good lately. What are
Yep.
some of the keys for you? What do you think is going to help you Winged Foot here win this thing?
Obviously, I mean, you got to make a lot of putts, and putting is very. There's a lot of it can go your way and then it can lip out. Sometimes you just never know. You can hit a perfect putt and it just doesn't go your way. So, but over 72 holes, if you just hit enough good putts and hit enough good shots, it might go your way. But hopefully, I can just kind of figure something out with my golf swing and find that confidence where I feel like I don't have to think that much, and then just go out there and play golf and make a couple putts and just build on that momentum.
Awesome. Thanks, Victor. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on.